Hello everyone and welcome to another class from Geekroid.com. I'm Geekroid and today's chapter we will be talking about WebSockets. So, what is WebSocket? As we mentioned in the introduction, WebSocket is basically pulling data without closing the connection. What is the application that we are using WebSocket? It can be a server client application, many varieties. Let's say here reading uh, 100 sensor at a time. Each will be sending 20 data or 20 readings. Okay, cool. So now, how does it work? We mentioned that there is a major difference between WebSocket and HTTP. For those who are familiar with HTTP, will basically get to know this difference quickly, and if you're not familiar with HTTP request, I'll be explaining in a moment how things work. Now, let's see. HTTP does the following. It opens the connection, it sends a request, whether it's a get, post, put, delete option or any other request. Now, get the response and then closes the connection. Now, there is one specific request that doesn't have to wait or freeze the application till the response is back, which is the AJAX request. Now, the difference between HTTP and WebSocket is the following. Now, we mentioned that HTTP is 4 steps, so we have to repeat those 4 steps each and every time we want to grab a reading. For WebSocket, it's different. We open the connection once, we keep on pulling data, then we close the connection. Now, how things work in practical life? Okay, I'm assuming that the client is sending reading, which is a sensor, and the server should grab all these readings and reply to each and every reading with a specific message. Okay, so I have set up already my environment. This client is a Raspberry Pi running on the network, which has a Linux and Python installed. And this server is here, my laptop, which has Node.js running on port 8080. Now, two things we have to know. That the server is listening to a specific port, while the client start the connection and terminate the connection at the end. Okay, so now let's start with the server. Now, as I mentioned, this is not a coding class, so I'll be giving those examples for reference, and it's just the fundamentals on how things work. Okay, so in Node.js, it's similar to PHP. If you know PHP, it's not that difference. Basically, it's JavaScript server side. So if you're familiar with JavaScript, you can analyze this quick. Now, we are saying here we are importing WS library. As I mentioned here in Node.js, it has WS, Socket.io, WebSocket modules, which do the same functionality for WebSocket. For Python, we have WebSocket library where we can actually use it. Just download it, install it, and use it. Now, we are telling here the server that once you receive a connection, what do? Send connection complete for start, and once you receive a message, print this message on your console for debugging and send back the client that you received the message. Okay? Fairly simple and easy. Now let's go back to the client. The client will be doing the following. First, we use WebSocket library to import create connection. Now note the difference. We created the connection instead of writing HTTP. For people who know how to use HTTP request, we usually write instead of WS HTTP, but since we're using WebSockets, we write WS slash slash, here is my server IP, and then colon the port. Now I created here a simple loop to simulate the sensor reading. it says from I in range from 0 to 4. 4 is exclusive, so it will write from 0 to 3. First, I need to read what's the server sending me, which is connection complete once the connection started. Then I print it out and then send hello world followed by the number of the iteration. Is it the first message, the second message, whatever? Send it and then print send. Once I done, I send the server that I am closing my connection and then terminate the connection, and that's it. Exit the script. So let's try this as a practical. Now, this terminal I connected using SSH to the Raspberry Pi, so I can demonstrate this perfectly. Now let's write here node server.js. Now here's one thing. Before I run the server, let's first execute the script and see how things work. Now, here. If I executed the script and I am listening on a wrong port or the server is down, it will automatically says that the connection is refused and I need to check my port. Now let's clear this and run the server. Now the server is up and running. Okay, now let's run the script again and see how things work. Perfect, now it's working fine. Okay, so let's start analyzing the output. First it says receiving. I'm waiting for the server after I created the connection. Now what did you receive? I received connection complete. I'm sending hello world 0. Now I sent it already. So let's go ahead and check on the server. I received hello world 0. Then I'm receiving something else. And then what did you receive? I'm receiving message received from the server. So the server actually replies back and says that he received the message. Now what are you doing? I'm sending hello world 1 send, and the server here receives it. Then we go back and check receiving, and then message received. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, maybe a fraction of a second to receive, depends on your connection with the server and some other factors. Now sending hello world 2, same thing apply to hello world 3, and then here it says I'm closing the connection and the server received connection closed. Perfect. Now the server is still up and running. As you can see, it can receive one more connection, another one, even parallel connection, but I only have one Raspberry Pi to simulate this. So the point is you can receive multiple connection, handle them each at a time. Now the good thing is whenever a connection happens, the server keep track of which connection is this, so it doesn't mess up the messages sent by mistake. So for example, if Raspberry Pi 1 is sending hello world 1 and Raspberry Pi 2 is sending hello world 0, and there are two different replies, the server won't mix them up. So based on the server, now on here I'm just doing it as a dummy server. So on every message, send message received. We don't have to worry about which message is this. But you can do it that to handle when I have hello world 0 send something, hello world 1 send something else. Even though you don't have to send a plain text, you can send a JSON object. Now as I mentioned before, JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and we can send it in this format. I'll just write here a template, something as let's say sensor, and then here's the ID 123, comma, what do I have, temp, how is it, it's let's say 34, I have a pressure, and then it's 45, and so on. So you can send this string, it's called a JSON object, and Node.js it's good with analyzing JSON. Even PHP, if you're using PHP, you can analyze this JSON object and send back a response based on the data. So for simplicity, we're just sending hello world, and on the other hand, we're just sending message received. Now, if you do have any comments, any questions, feel free to drop it in the lecture comments, and I'll reply to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much. See you in another class.